See that nice green rock? That is some good looking schist. Looks like mica schist. Anyway, see the green? Sometimes you get some chloride in there too. And remember I told you about that. That's a really important part of the mix. And you can see where this was in the contact zone right here. See how nice and slick that is? Now another thing you're gonna see out here in the vein structures where they've been oxidized and turned red, of course that's what they were mining, you always tell by looking at the millings, is take a look on the outer edges of the contact zones. What you're gonna see there is you're gonna see not only you're gonna see fault gouge, but you're also gonna see a grillic alteration. And that's where a lot of the feldspars have been turned to clay. See the shear zoning? They call it slick and slides. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And look at all this nice material in there. See that? You see the vein material right here? Oh yeah, that's nice. Right up in here, you gotta be careful. A lot of the clays, you got limonites, you got hard quartz veins. See, there's a hard quartz vein up in there. They took most of that. See all this clayous material? See the quartz in there? And then here, look at this. Oh, that's pretty looking stuff. Look at that. You got quartz, you got hematites in there, probably replacing magnetite. You got a little bit of sulfides in there, and you got free mill gold. Look at that, all the way up to the surface. And you can see where somebody's been high grading down in there. See that? I want to take samples of this stuff. When you sample a vein, remember, you sample from side to side. And sometimes even get the hanging wall and the footwall just to see if there's any mineralization in it. And that vein looks like it's got a 80-degree dip to it. You see the 4 cyanide tanks. One of them still got some crushed ore in it. Washed it with cyanide. And then when they're done, they collect up the pregnated cyanide solution, which has gold in solution. And then they'd pump the rest of it out as tailings, which was worthless. It had nothing in it. That's how you do it. You crush it up as fine as possible, soak it in a weak solution of sodium cyanide. The cyanide becomes pregnated with gold and silver. And then you either add zinc, or in today's world, you use activated carbon. See that? You've got a lot of these square holes in it and pitting. A lot of times, see that one there too? You can see that. Ooh, that's pretty. Now, a lot of times that can either be caused by hydrothermal alteration, but in this case, based on the manganese oxide that you see here, and I see all this rusty, it almost looks like limonite, I'd say that this had sulfides in it that oxidized out and left the manganese and the limonite behind, which is hematite iron oxides. Remember I told you about breccia? Brecciated veins? Usually you find them in chimneys and pipes, volcanic areas. They got gold inside the fine ground mass. The 3 basic deposits, and we're talking about lobe mining now, primary deposits, not secondary. There's only really 3 that you need to worry about. And the 3 is going to be a porphyry deposit, mesothermal deposit, and an epithermal. And like I said, most everything falls under that category. The ones that I like are the iron oxide copper gold deposits. I really like those. And you'll see a lot of those in Arizona. And we got one out here. Actually, to be honest, it's a replacement deposit. It's referred to as a polymetallic replacement deposit. That technically falls under the category of a porphyry deposit. And then next you got mesothermal, which is your greenstone, your shear zone hosted, your Archean greenstones. A lot of your metamorphic folding like you have in California. Those are deep-seated veins. That's all going to fall under your mesothermal category. And then of course you all know your epithermals. A lot of that's going to be shallow and next to a heat source, usually volcanic in nature. You see them a lot in Nevada. You got what's called back arc basin assemblages. And of course you got to remember that you've got that huge magma chamber and then you've got a spout coming off of it that creates a volcano. Well, what's happening is you've got fractures and fissures in the rock and it starts to heat up surrounding waters that might circulate through there, meteoric waters. And what will happen is you'll have these hot springs bringing this water up. Now, gold isn't soluble in just plain old water. It has to, like I said, it has to be in something that will dissolve it. And that's usually a chlorine base, like a brine solution, really salty, nasty stuff. Or a sulfur complex like you have a lot of these high sulfidation zones. In your epithermals, you're going to get a lot of these vents that come out around these volcanoes. Remember I told you the magic number, which is 1, 3, 7, and 21. Those are the miles that you need to look at when you're looking on a topo map from most of these volcanic cones and shields and things like that. That's where you're going to find a lot of these mineralization. And that's why I always tell people, if you're looking for epithermals, look for low sulfidation, you're going to find your chunkier gold. And you got to remember when you're working with geology that everything didn't happen at one time. I mean, some of this stuff happened 3.5 million years ago. I mean, I got a whole bunch of basement rock underneath me right now. That's from the Precambrian time period. And then I got all this tertiary volcanics around here that happened maybe 10,000 years ago or maybe a little later. On top here, I've got a lot of this porphyry andesite, which is a volcanic, and then I got basement rocks underneath here of granitic gneiss, and I've also got some granite diorite down there too. Now here I've got some nice copper staining. See that? I don't know if you can see it. And I got some manganese oxide. That's always great in the mix when you're looking for gold. Another thing you're going to see when you're out looking for gold is when you start seeing quartz that has these big ugly red pitting in it. See that? And they call those bugs. Well, if you look carefully at this one, I'll see if I can get it in there close for you. Can you see that? These vugs are square. All of them are square in nature. And what does that tell you? That means that there used to be what? Iron pyrite in there. And what has happened is it has oxidized out, leaving just the iron and hopefully native gold behind. And when you're out here in these gold producing districts, you're going to see some of this quartz that's really vuggy, which means there's a lot of pitting in it, a lot of holes. Take a good look with your jeweler's loupe. That's why you got to bring one of these. Take a good look with your jeweler's loupe and see if they're square. And that'll tell you that, yeah, that was pyrite that oxidized out, and hopefully it left the gold if there was any native gold behind. When you're looking at some of these and you notice there's a lot of pitting in it, it looks like there's a whole bunch of little holes running all throughout it. That can be caused from what's called hydrothermal alteration. And all that means is that there was some type of hydrothermal fluids that have come in contact with it and it has altered it. It has basically started to dissolve it, or it has impregnated it with minerals. Some of these holes aren't square. They're actually kind of weird shaped and round and oblong. What can happen is when this pyrite is exposed to water, what happens? What do you get from that? Sulfuric acid. The sulfuric acid will actually start to eat into the quartz. It'll start to dissolve away some of the silica and it'll leave these really weird shaped bugs in there. But it's always a good sign when you see green staining, blacks and reds on quartz. Look at this huge outcropping right here. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And I got some bugs in there and some crystallization pockets. Nice pegmatites in there. Usually crystals are growing out of that. I got some iron staining. I got some copper staining in here. Man, that's a big old one. I wanted you to see this because it's very important. Whenever you find quartz veins like this, first of all, chances are there's another one somewhere in the area. You always have at least another vein somewhere. It's a parallel vein. And sometimes you have what's called swarms, where you have a whole bunch of little veins running throughout the area. Because think about it, when the rock fractured and busted open, it didn't just make one crack, it made a whole bunch of cracks. And they usually travel in the same direction, don't they? The mineral-rich solution comes flowing up through there. People see one vein, they get excited. I say, no, there's probably another one, maybe a whole handful of them in the area. But they always run parallel because the way the rock fractures naturally. People see these quartz veins and they get all excited. Well, a lot of times the stuff on top, if there's any mineralization, it's leached out millions of years ago. So people try to get up underneath it to see if there's any mineralization down deeper. And this one don't look like it's got anything in it. It might have, but I think it's leached out long ago, and that's why you got dry washers going up and down in these washes, because any gold that was here fractured off millions of years ago and is down in there. Anytime you find veins like this, look in the area to see if you got any veins that are running at a 45 or even a 90 from these. I have found a lot of really rich mineralized veins that are running at a 45-degree angle of these like this, or sometimes a 90 off to the side. And those will be the veins that are rich, not these. I've got all these swarms going up the side of the hill and people been poking into them trying to find something. But I bet you didn't find nothing, did you? I got that vein that I just chased, but look at this right here. It was right below the surface. See that? Look at that beautiful looking vein. Imagine how many people just walked right over the top of it. There must not be more than 6 inches of dirt sitting over the top of it. And I got tons and tons of magnetite. Ooh, that's a good sign. I won't go into it right now, but like I said, magnetite can form in a replacement deposit, and that's always a good sign. I got copper staining too, and I got magnetite all up and down the side of this vein. And the vein I was just looking at, it's about 20 feet away running up the side of the hill. And then there's another one that outcrops and another one. Like I told you, there's parallel veins and there's swarms. It's so hard, it's so hard. Woo, see the malachite in there? Isn't that pretty? I got copper staining right there too. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, you can see it where it's on the outside of this vein. The vein probably goes through the hill and comes out on the other side. Ah, so come on! Ah, let's go! Ooh, look at that thing! Ooh! Oh man, that would hurt! I don't want to fall down that. It's only like maybe 40 feet, but man, 40 feet will mess up your day. See that quartz vein running right in the middle? This is a good example of deposition. I wanted you to see that. You got some copper staining and you got some weathering going on in there. You got some hematite, which is probably replacing the magnetite. And you can see how a lot of the feldspars on the outer wall, which is the hanging wall down there, has changed. It's a really good illustration, and I wanted you to see that. They were hoping that the mineralization would get heavier, and of course the gold would get heavier on the way down, like I told you. But evidently it didn't, because they stopped 40 feet down. But that doesn't mean there's not some good specimens in there somewhere. There's this one and there's 3 other ones that crest the top of this hill, and they run down the other side of the valley, and you can see where they've been digging there too. That's what I tell you. Make sure if you find one, check the area. When you see quartz rock that has this really funky yellow, and sometimes it'll have a band of red around the outside, usually what that indicates, if you can see that, is what? That's right, sulfides. That's the sulfur that's oxidizing off of that sulfide. See that? And if you look right in the middle, you can see what? That's right, sulfides. I got an incline here. You can see it up against there. That's all brecciated quartz. You're going to read that in your USGS reports, breccia. See all these broken pieces in here that have been re-cemented? That's called breccia. And when you see that brecciation, all that means is that the quartz or whatever's been broken is fractured. It's got these sharp angular pieces, and then it's been re-cemented with a fine ground mass. And a lot of times you can find gold in here in gold bearing districts. And see these sulfides in here, the yellow? Well, they said, hey, we got pyrite in there. And when they got close to it, they said it's arsenopyrite. And of course, you know gold likes to travel with arsenopyrite. And see this? I got this band right here, this beautiful looking quartzite. And here's some more breccia right there, see that? When they found that, they started traveling down along there, and that's where they were finding most of that gold was locked up in that arsenopyrite. Now, I don't care much for that because you got to roast it. Now, if you come out to these sites, take a good look around, you might be able to find some of these ore samples that came out of the ore bin right next to the trough. You can see where it's weathered, and it'll leave gold behind. But I just wanted you to see, this is the first one. That looks like it goes down a couple 100 feet. Thought you might enjoy this shot. Whew. Not too shabby, huh? Okay. Let's take a look what we got out here. There's some track. See the track in the floor? Look at this right here. See this? See that buzzer? That way they could let them know up on top when it was time to haul the ore up. There's an ore cart. See it? See the ore cart? Right there. See if I can't get my equipment straightened up. There. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that cool? Still got the wheels on it and everything. You can see where they were hauling it. Right there. Then you got a split in the track right here, see that? What they would do is they would just run this bar over right here, over to the side. And that way they could switch tracks. They could either go that way or they could go that way. See the hook they used for pulling that thing? Man, those wheels are heavy. Holy cow, nobody's been down here in a while. Nobody's been down in here for a while. Okay, a little musty down here. That looks like a dead end back there. See that? The track stopped, and that's all limestone. Ain't no gold in limestone. Look at that sucker. Man, that's big. That is a big... Oh, he's got a chipped wheel, too. He must have fell. Look at that. Big old heavy frame. That's a tamping rod right there. See that stick? Tamp the dynamite in. There's an airline right there. Got some water droplets. feel a lot of moisture in here. A lot of moisture. Yeah. Okay, see all this? That's all limestone. There ain't nothing in there. What they're trying to do is, by driving this drift, is they're trying to find the contact with the limestone, which is this material right here, and the porphyry granite. So they're trying to follow it, and hopefully they can hit it. Plutonic mass is irregular, so it's hard to kind of pinpoint where it would be. So, look at that. Oh, there's a dynamite box. See that right there? That's an old dynamite box. There's some bore holes right there. See where they're drilling up in there? Right there, and loaded dynamite. And there's the porphyry granite right there. See it? I saw it in the mine dump, so I knew that they had finally encountered it. Right here. Man, it's really musty down there too. It's nasty. All that moisture in rock. See that? See that dynamite box right there? That is Atlas. Atlas Powder Company. I don't know if you can see that. I'll see if I get a better shot right there. Atlas Powder Company. 30% strength. Oh, not bad. More rails. There's an airline right there. See that? Ugh. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, see, here's all that porphyry granite. Do you see all that? That's that beautiful porphyry granite that I saw in the mine dumps. Now what they were hoping was, see they're at this T-junction. They finally hit the plutonic body. They finally hit it. And then what they're doing is like, okay, let's start going along the contact zone. Right here, remember I told you about the contact zone? Right there. See, they kept following it that way. And they were following it right there. See that? Right there. See that nice smooth texture? Look at that. Right there. Anyway, they were following it, and they did get some gold out of it, but it looks like I don't see a lot of secondary enrichment going on at the contact zones here. And you can see where they followed it around the corner, and then it's caved in because of this porphyry granite is really soft and it caves easy. Limestone's not. So, yeah, you can see where they were digging the heck out of this. They must have not found nothing. And that's a dead end. Let's see where this goes. And they're exploring the porphyry granite, which is this huge plutonic mass. Actually, it's 2 dikes and a sill in the area. That's nice looking. But I don't see that dark material that has the gold in it. Usually, like I said, it's at the contact zone. Now look, right here, remember I told you there was 2 dikes and a sill? Well, we just passed through one of the dikes. See that? There's the limestone on the other side. So the dike is from that junction right there to here, thick. That's what, maybe 30 feet? So it's a dike that's 30 feet thick. That's in between this dolomite. And I'm really surprised that they didn't get more mineralization. Oh, there's an old can right there, see that? I'm surprised they didn't get more mineralization out of it. Yeah, right there's the contact zone, see that? The gray dolomite right there. Right there. And then the porphyry granite on the right. And you can see where they were following this around. And they were hoping. You can see the humidity in the air. See, that goes right back to where I was. You're just following this thing around. Oh, rusted pipes. That's because the humidity down here is... At least there's no water in here, huh? This one looks like they were following it, hoping for some mineralization. There's another piece of dynamite box right there. Looks like they were following it, hoping maybe it would do something. See, and then it just kind of peters out right there. Yeah, you can see the porphyry granite back there. See that? And the limestone. I'm really surprised they didn't get more gold out of this thing. This is the perfect combination. Maybe they're not deep enough, I don't know. I was really hoping to find a piece of the ore body down here, but I don't see nothing. So I'll have to take what's up on top Here's that dynamite box. Not much to it. Found those a lot in Searchlight, Nevada. Limestone. Limestone's really solid most of the time. So you don't need shoring. Keep it from collapsing. Look at that track. See that track? Isn't that cool? Imagine putting that in here. Bending it all over the place. That's cool. Man, that's got to be heavy. You know nobody's been down there because that's the first thing they would have took is that thing right there. It's the first thing they would have took. That's all limestone. I'm not going back there. There's a bunch of rats' nests back there too. All right, we're going back up, taking a sample off the mine dump because that's the only thing that I saw that had any gold in it. Like I said, look for the high-grade, low-grade piles in these small mines. If they've got any kind of an ore bin, forget it. It's gone to the mill. Unless you're lucky enough and you found, ooh, there's a spider. There's a spider right there. See that? Right there. I don't know if you see him. Oh, there's another one crawling right there. See him? Let's see if I can get him. Where are you? There you are. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them right there. There's a spider, see him? Right there. He's going back over to his mate, his girlfriend. His girlfriend, you can see where people threw cans down here. Let's see how deep it is. Not a lot of material swept off. Sometimes at the bottom of these inclines, you find all kinds of stuff. Sometimes animals too. And you can see where when they shut the mine down, they were collecting up all the pipe right there. That's the air pipe for the drill. And they were going to hoist it back up to the surface. All right, let's head on up. Get on out of here. It's too big, Slim.
Break it down. Did I tell you everything?
Break it down. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. This is a 3x4 jaw crusher. And where'd we get it? 911 Metallurgia. Man, these are great crushers. They're from a company out of Canada. I see a lot of guys out there. They have these impact mills, these chain mills, and they shove these big old rocks in there and they get all happy about it. If you get one of these, it's gonna make your life so much easier. First of all, if you're gonna be doing any hard rock mining, this is a fantastic machine for you to do a quick sample on your material. And I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. And secondly, if you're going to do any crushing at all, you have this as your primary crusher. And anybody who does hard rock mining will tell you, you got to have a primary and at least one secondary crusher. If not, guess what's going to happen? That's right, you're going to wear out your chain mill. You crush it down with this, and then you sample to see if there's any gold in the rock. That way you save yourself a whole bunch of trouble. And if there is, then you run it through your chain mill or whatever other kind of mill you got that breaks it down into a fine powder. This is a 3x4. And it's about as big as you're gonna need. And they come with the 6.5 horsepower gas motor. I like the gas over the electric because you can throttle it up if you start having heavier rock or denser rock like your quartz over your limonite. It's gonna take more power and you just throttle it up. Electric, it's a little bit harder. You got to put a variable resistor in there to do that. Now, if you decide to buy one, I'm going to leave a link down below. Just click on it. It'll take you over to the company. Some of them come like this. It's fully equipped with a motor and a stand. And then they sell the ones that are just bare bones. It's just a basic kit. And you put it together and you put your own motor on it. And that way you can save $1 or $2 if you don't want the whole thing. And you can build it yourself. See all that beautiful looking limonite and jarosite? You're gonna put a 20 mesh screen over your gold pan. See that? And you're gonna throw this in. Yeah! Come on, baby! Ooh, there's a lot of iron in there. Woo! That was what? Maybe 3-4 minutes for an entire bag? And look at that. That's ready to go in one of these impact mills. That's right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to run this material. Some of it's been powderized. And like I was trying to tell you earlier, this is a great sampler. Because when you fracture rock through a jaw crusher, it fractures along the easiest planes, lines, and the cleavage inside of some of your metamorphic rock. It's going to fracture. And why is that important? Because that's where the gold forms. So when you fracture that rock, if you got any gold, it's going to be, this is the first place you're going to see it. So what you're going to do, you're going to classify it through a 20 mesh screen, and then you're going to pan it out. If you got gold in here, then I guarantee you got gold in the rest of this stuff. And then you run it through one of your impact mills and grind it down even further to get the rest of the gold out. This saves a lot of time and headache and energy and parts. So I'm going to classify him out. And then I'm going to pan and see what I got. Okay, here we go. Woo! Now, you can run this through a gold cube, or you can run it through one of Doc's special mats. Very important when you're sampling, and that's what we're doing right now. We're determining if our sample bags have got gold in the ore, this gold ore, and if it's worth us going back and getting more. So we're technically sampling right now. We're not doing production. So it's very important that anything you use is clean, whether it's the mills, the large mill, small mill. All this stuff is clean, even down to your gold pan. Clean it out, because if you got any gold in there, that was from the last sample, you're gonna think this sample's got gold in it, okay? So our pan looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. Dump him in. Here we go. Ooh, look at all that red powder. Oh, I hate that limonite. Yeah. You're gonna knead it all up underneath there. Break up any of those clay balls that you got. Because that finer powder is gonna want to turn into like a little clay ball instantly. Ugh. And yeah, you're gonna get wet. Alright, let's see what we got here. A lot of people say I pan too hard. I say I don't pan hard enough. Now because this is limonite, I'm going to have a ton of iron in there. And there's other things in there too. According to USGS report, I got jarosite and plumbo jarosite. And for any of you that know this area, you know exactly where I'm getting this from. Alright, that's about as far down as I want to go. Ah! Alright, come here, take a look at this. Get in the sunlight here. I know, that's dirty water. I can't do nothing about that. There's another chunk that fell in there. See, there's a couple of chunks I screwed up when I was screening it out. Let's see if I got anything in there. Ooh, I see a couple pieces. Little tiny ones. Hold on, let me shake that down. Oh, look at that. Ooh, look how rough they are. Look at that. Come on now, come on. Ooh, I don't know what that is, that piece. Look at that. That's a big old honking piece right there. Man, that's big for load. And see how wiry these are? I'll get a close-up. There's some super fines in there. See those super fines? I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if the lighting's any good. Let me get over here. Let's see, there you go. Look at that. Ooh, there's a super fine one right there. Man, there's some super fines all into there. Okay. I knew that this area was rich, remember? I talked about it earlier. This is that secondary enrichment. Oh, I've always gotten good gold out of that zone. I can't wait to go through that. And I still got what? 1, 2, 3, 3.5 bags to go. Now I know they all came from different areas, but they're all coming from that same intrusion-related deposit. Remember? It's when that porphyry granite was coming up through the dolomite, the limestone. And all these mines are sitting on top of it. And that's why all this stuff is that ugly-looking rusty red material. It's all that nasty limonite and jarosite. Woo, but man, you get some good gold out of that.
(1879). The Civil War is over, and the resulting economic explosion spurs the great migration west. Farmers, ranchers, prospectors, killers, and thieves seek their fortunes. Cattle drovers turn cow towns into armed camps with murder rates higher than those of modern-day New York or Los Angeles. Out of this chaos comes legendary lawman Wyatt Earp, retiring his badge and gun to start a peaceful life with his family. Earp's friend, John Doc Holliday, a Southern gentleman turned gunman and gambler, also travels west, hoping the dry climate will relieve his tuberculosis. Silver is discovered in Arizona. Tombstone becomes queen of the boomtowns, where the latest Paris fashions are sold from the backs of wagons. Attracted to this atmosphere of greed, over 100 exiled Texas outlaws band together to form the ruthless gang recognized by the red sashes they wear. They emerge as the earliest example of organized crime in America. They call themselves the Cowboys.
You know who that is behind me? That's Wyatt Earp, his two brothers, and of course Doc's with him. I think he's looking for me, because I made him mad last night. Anyway, I'm gonna take you down to the OK Corral, so come on, let's go. This is the original spot where the gunfight at the OK Corral took place. Of course, the OK Corral is up the ways. This is a little back alley lot. Where I'm standing used to be a boarding house, which used to be called the Harwood House, but of course it's gone right here. And there's a wall there, that wall wasn't there. These gentlemen are all placed in the exact position that the gunfight took place, according to Wyatt Earp. Now, Wyatt Earp drew a map in 1924, and he depicted where everybody was standing. And of course you can see, they're not more than 15, 20 feet apart. If you look over there, you'll see Big Nose Kate in the window. Now Doc and Big Nose Kate had a room right there in Fry's photo studio that they were renting out. They think that that's why they were back here looking for Doc, because they knew his room was right there. Of course, in 30 seconds, 25 shots are fired. One guy in the middle over there, that's Ike Klein. He ain't got no gun. Remember in the movie Tombstone? He ran up to Wyatt and said,
"Don't shoot! I got no gun! Please, don't shoot me! I got no gun!"
Fight commenced! Get the fighting or get away!
The gunfight took place October 26, 1881, and Wyatt, who's in the middle there, he was the only guy that wasn't wounded. Even Doc, even though you don't see it in the movie Tombstone, he was wounded in the hip. He got shot in the hip. And of course, there's rumor that Doc was the one who started the fight.
I'm your huckleberry.
He was the one who shot one round off that got the whole thing going. There's a lot of rumors circulating about who started it. So they figured he was the one who wanted to start the gunfight. But I wanted you to see this. I wanted you to notice the difference between reality and the movies. So you know what I'm gonna say, huh? So come on.
Come on.
Let's go.
Come on.
Let's go.
Oh, Donnie.
Come on!
Let's go.
You're no Daisy. You're no Daisy at all.
At the end of this month, we're giving away 10 bags of incredibly rich pay dirt from our drift mine. This stuff is world famous. I guarantee you've never seen bags of pay dirt this rich. And each one comes with a 1-ounce silver bar. But not only that, we're giving away a brand new Mine Lab Gold Monster 1000 metal detector as well. All of this is at the end of the month. So you still have time to sign up to get your hands on one. Now, if you want to get your hands on any of this stuff, all you have to do is look for the little icon at the end of the video that looks something like that. Click on it, make a $10 pledge, and you instantly qualify to get your hands on any of this stuff. And I'll see you on the next video.